Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Barry Murphy. I'm currently the chairman of SAEMA, the Specialist Access Equipment Maintenance Association. My main role I'm also MD of Centro Engineering, a facade access company operating in the permanent markets. And I've been involved in the industry for 28 years this year, so working from site installation right through to design and tendering and costing the systems. I'd like to start with some background information on SAEMA. We are one of the older trade associations within the AIF, formed in 1972, initially to develop standards of design and acceptable levels of coefficient to be used for the design, manufacture, installation of suspended access platforms and cradles. Our main aim is to install facade access systems that provide a safe place of work for the users of the equipment, ultimately in the main window cleaners and maintainers of building envelopes. A safe place of work provides the base for an effective and efficient method of work to be carried out by operatives using facade access systems. SAEMA today, there are 27 members in the association. We are a very niche specialist market. Those 27 members cover 90% of the permanent facade access industry operating in the UK. We do also have a segment of the association that operates in the temporary access division, including standard temporary cradles and platforms and special designed temporary cradles and platforms. Key areas that we operate in are the permanently installed bespoke systems, that is facade access systems designed for incorporation into a building for the life of the building. When we're talking about the life of the building, we're looking at 25 to 30 years of service life. Typically these systems are installed during the construction phase, but also on refurbishment or upgrade of buildings. They can replace existing systems also if a building has a particularly long lifespan. We also work very active, and a large percentage of our market is ongoing maintenance, inspection and testing of existing systems. This is carried out on an annual basis, typically every 3 months, with and includes Lola testing and ongoing weight testing and inspection of systems. Members of the association sit on BSI committees which cover suspended access equipment and provide experience and expertise on developing codes of practice and standards relevant to our industry. Currently, as we had at yesterday's seminar, we're working on the new BS standard for designing for working at heights. This is to try and bring all elements of the access industry together to provide a guidance document for architects, designers, developers, main contractors to consider all aspects of facade access, be it permanent or temporary. The new standards is BS 8560 and is called Designing for Working at Height. Members of the association also work alongside the BSI and on the CEN committee for renewing and updating our main standard for design and manufacture of systems, BSE in 1808. As an association, we have an excellent track record for safety. It's very rare that we have any fatalities or injuries related to operators using our equipment, and we are a very low risk industry. And also as an industry, we're constantly working to develop new training schemes with the CITB, National Construction College, and we hope to roll out a new scheme for testing and inspection. This will be aimed at installers and maintainers of permanent facade access systems. So moving on to the main point of this talk, it's really use of permanently installed facade access systems during the construction phase. When developing these systems, SAEMA members work closely with the architects, structural engineers, facade access consultants and main contractors and the client's appointed insurance engineers. we start from scratch. We're designing a bespoke system. They tend not to be off the shelf, or very rarely off the shelf solutions. Quite often they're prototypes on the higher profile buildings such as Swiss Re, 20 Fenchurch Street, the Shard. These are systems that are not off the shelf. They have to be designed from scratch. The industry has always moved that way because buildings designs are constantly changing. The fight for space at roof level is always very, very hard with additional plant going on more modern buildings. We tend to find the end result is a system that's unique and very, very specifically designed for that building. More importantly, and the main reason for this talk is we are seeing the permanent systems being taken into use during the construction phase not more often, they always have been, but more extensively, and this is an area of concern from a health and safety point of view. We're not 100% convinced that full consideration is given to using these systems, which are really designed for post-PC use and the ongoing life of the building, and we think they're being overused during the construction phase. I'm talking about permanent facade access systems, just to give an idea of the exact systems I'm talking about. We have standard BMUs. These are small machines that operate around the perimeter of the building. Compact cranes which operate in a similar fashion. We can have permanent mast climbers. Mast climbers is seen to be a product for the temporary market, but it's also a permanent product. These mast climbers traverse along tracks around the perimeter of a building. Large crane type machines, not unlike a telescopic crane or mobile crane you would see used to install plant from road level. Some of these machines are 90 tonne, just their own static weight. They're so big they have outreach of 35 to 38, 40 metres. Very, very big, complex pieces of plants. The more standard end of the market, probably more familiar with a very basic davit system, perimeter monorails, a powered cradle or a gantry system. The more basic end of the market, you would use a powered cradle to switch between these different systems, rigging and de-rigging. Although less sophisticated, they are a higher risk element of the market because they rely upon the user to transfer them between different rigging points. So again, it's higher risk. Primary design function and role of permanent facade access systems is to provide a permanent safe place of work for operatives. They provide high-level access for routine cleaning and light maintenance of facade finishes, plus repair and replacement of facade elements. Generally used at 3 to 6 month intervals for cleaning and light maintenance of external and internal facades. External facades tend to be 3 monthly intervals because they pick up a higher level of environmental grime and dirt. Internal facades 6 to 12 months. But this is a typical interval that the system is designed for, to be used for over its life. Some of the larger systems will also include a facility to lift elements of the facade into place, anything up to 1,000 kg. So we can take off elements, precast concrete, steel, glass frames, remove damaged elements and replace those using the equipment. Again, a facility that's designed in, but again, only designed for periodic use. 3 to 5 years will be expected to use that facility on a machine. The construction phase role can be very different. In the past, permanently installed access systems used associated with construction phase work will be used for a builder's clean only. This would be the last 4 to 6 weeks of a programme. Quick wash down of facade prior to handover to the client. The last 10 years we've seen that period extend to 3 to 6 months on average. So something that's designed to be used post-PC and for the life of the building is now being used extensively for the construction phase, and they're not really designed for this phase. Unfortunately, 3 to 6 months is generally the period that's requested prior to contracts, but very rarely the full extent of use is fully identified. And quite often we sign up to 3 to 6 month early use agreements, and equipment is being used for far longer periods. 9, 12, 15 months is not uncommon, and we've had recently projects where the use of the equipment is extended to 30 months in total. That's 2.5 years. A piece of permanent equipment is being used for construction phase. The problem with these extended periods is they're used 5 to 7 days a week, and when you equate 5 to 7 days a week over 30 months, you're looking at really a true period of use equivalent to 8 to 10 years during the construction phase. Big area of concern is equipment's being handed over really with 8 to 10 years of use, but this is not being recorded, and the end user, i.e. the client, is not picking this fact up. And they're assuming they're getting a new piece of plant and they're starting from day one, but they're not. They're getting an old piece of plant that is extensively used. Another area of concern is control and management. We hand these pieces of equipment over to the main contractor to use, but the main contractors do not acknowledge their responsibility as duty holders. The perception is that the responsibility remains with a subcontractor who's installed the equipment. This isn't the case, and it's a big problem. So although equipment can be going into extensive use, it's also not being managed during that period. It's not being inspected correctly, its use is not being recorded, and the people using it are not being trained properly, or they're not signing equipment in and out. The management and control and use of permanently installed access equipment during the construction phase is the responsibility of the client, main contractor and their appointed duty holder. It's not the responsibility of the installer. Whilst most of our clients are aware of LOLA 98, they're not aware of the contents, and it clearly states LOLA 98 Regulation 3, Section 5, the requirement imposed by these regulations on an employer, the duty holder, shall not apply to a person in respect of lifted equipment supplied by him by way of sale agreement for sale or hire purchase agreement. This clearly defines that the person installing the system is not responsible for its use once they've handed equipment over for use during the construction phase. Other applicable regulations which the industry should be familiar with, the LOLA 98, Regulation 9.2 and 9.3, which applies to LOLA first thorough inspections and ongoing inspections. Again, the duty holder responsibilities that I touched on earlier. PURA is an important regulation for our industry, gets overlooked, and again is another area of concern. More importantly, long-term use during the construction phase brings in implications as regards LG3 and inspection of safety critical parts. This is not being completed or carried out, and the information is not being passed on to the end user. As I touched on earlier on, designs are becoming ever more complex. Quite often we're putting prototypes on site which have little program allowance for testing, commissioning and performance monitoring. They're going straight from the factory, straight to the roof and straight into use. The current situation, which is an area of concern for SAEMA members, is little or no detailed pre-planning or strategy for the construction use of permanently installed access systems. Systems being put into service without necessary LOLA 9.2 sign-off and handover, again breaking the regulations. Failure to acknowledge and take on duty holder responsibilities following the handover phase. Failure to properly control and manage the use of systems during the construction phase, and failure to record the use of systems during the construction phase. Again, LOLA 98 Regulation 3 clearly identifies where the responsibility lays, but this is not being picked up during construction. We're trying to address this as part of these 3 days at the AIF seminar. We do have SAEMA have now developed a suspended access and the role of the duty holder training format. We're trying to roll out and educate clients on how they should be managing the equipment, and also we're rolling out the suspended access equipment operator training. If you'd like to come to the stands, we have information, more detailed information on these training formats, and we're quite happy to discuss them with you. So hopefully that's been of some If anyone has any questions, I'd quite happily answer them after I've finished.